Outsiders issue 3, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing with Robert Carey on the art. So that's it. This book's been doing very different things each issue, and
Mm-hmm.
I will say at first I wasn't sure how I felt about this one, but it kind of won me over a little bit as it
Yeah.
went on, and that was kind of similar to the first issue in that I wasn't sure how to feel about it, and then as it went on, it legitimately got a few laughs out of me, which I was not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I even shared on Twitter there's a panel because basically Kate and Luke go into like they get these coordinates for like be something beyond a portal to like outside of reality, and it ends up being this like dreamlike hub world that all the different Batmen from all the different universes all sort of go to in their dreams and kind of communicate, which is a
Mm-hmm.
wild idea. And I'm like, oh, it's multiverse stuff, it's multiple Batmans. I was getting a little like, are we really doing this? But then as it kept doing more of it got kind of interesting and fun, partly because Luke's not meant to be there, so like they kind of act hostile towards him.
Yeah.
Kate meeting other Kates because she's just as traumatized as Batman is, so she
Mm-hmm.
belongs there just the same, even though she's not ready to be there yet. This specific version, that was kind of interesting. But what really was getting me was all the fun little jokes they were doing as things were going on. Like when you see all the Batmen having a meeting in the Batcave,
Mm-hmm.
and they're having it's like a town hall meeting where they're saying, "Oh, first up on the itinerary, and this, and this." Like one of them says, "A reminder before we begin, please take time to visit the grieving room. We have a new installation of tumbling pearls that you might find quite dramatic." I howled with laughter at
It's
that. That was
so
funny.
like yeah, so like Kelly and Lansing as writers, we haven't really been huge on stuff that they've done, right? Like it's been pretty okay.
It's
Um,
it's been mostly little 2 issue fill-ins of other runs, and then a mini here or there. Yeah, it's not been
yeah,
anything
like
meaningful.
we've never been overtly negative, but we're kind of like, oh, okay, there it's Kelly and Lansing. We're not missing too much if we miss whatever. I want to this. I feel like this is them making their push of, hey, look, we can do like stories about stories really well, because just this idea of it's almost like what it's like to put together a Batman story from their perspective as writers, right? And just the idea that Luke's not meant to be there because he's not a Bat character, right? Like, yes, he's from the Bat family, but he has a different. He's not,
He's
he doesn't
not.
have the same trauma
Yeah, he's not
background.
traumatized. That's the word I was going to use. He's not. He's not got
Yeah,
the trauma to be there.
right. And when you look at it from the meta context of like, well, we want Bat characters in this book, say, right? And Kate is traumatized, but Luke's not. And I feel like that pitch of them going, yeah, he's not traumatized, and that's why he needs to be on this team with the outsiders, because he's almost the anti-Batman in that way, right? Like he's on the team, he has the tech, he has all the stuff, but he lacks that same unifying thread that gets a lot of the Bat characters together. So this was kind of a very almost the way that I read it was a smart take on what's it like to try to create Batman or create for Batman rather.
Yeah. Plus, I thought there was this right tone to the sense of humor where these Batmans were taking each other very seriously and talking,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of felt like a very tongue in cheek in a way that was working for me.
Yeah.
And I don't like Luke is there, and there was a tease of this character earlier, this guy in big, huge Batman armor, but he
Mm-hmm.
jumps down and actually slices one of the Batmen in half, like just down
Yep.
the middle, just slices them. It's super gory. Says the hubris, and turns out his big axe is actually also a guitar, which
Yep.
was giving me weird flashbacks of Slumber Party Massacre Part 2.
Uh-huh.
Very strange to be reminded of that in a Batman or
He's
an
he's
Outsiders
just more
comic.
of a metal guy than a greaser, so that was the big
Yeah.
difference.
So this ends up being a version of Duke who is trying to kill all these versions of Batman, and
Because he's one of the was it the Death Wave Knights, which came from that Dark Multiverse book. You remember when they would do? There's each a different like basically Dark What If.
oh
This
yeah,
was
Matt,
this
you're
this,
referencing something we did on the show. That's how long we've been doing this show now.
but I don't remember if you read it because I remember some of them only I read.
Oh sure, yeah. I mean, I read
Yeah.
that one, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the Duke from that story. So again, they're going and pulling from this, again, meta, because they even name dropped the metaverse, right? Which came from Doomsday Clock.
Mm.
Um, So they're pulling from that too, which I thought was really funny because yeah, when he came down with the guitar, I instantly thought of metal, like of death metal and all that because of that joke that or not joke, that device that Snyder had put in that the two chords were DC, right? And they had to get on the same vibrational. That's what made me think. I didn't immediately go to Slumber Party Massacre.
He's just so lucky, Snyder is, that D and C, like the name of the company, is 2 letters in the first 8 letters of the alphabet, because if they were any higher, you couldn't make that music connection.
Nope. Well, and again, it's one of those happenstance things that it, with the way that they have taken to the vibrational differences, that's what does the multiverse. You know, that it does work with music that way too. So it's weird how stuff works out. But yeah, I liked all the Kate stuff in this too, as she's going through that hallway, and we see almost like the different versions of her family.
It's all it's all the paintings where her sister's also there, but then she gets the one where her sister's not there, and it's just her and her parents. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I liked all of that because it does show how different she is. Where yes, she's, you know, I also like how annoyed she is that she's like, yeah, we're in a different, like, we're in this portal of my cousin's house. You know, like there's just this annoyed with her, but I do like it also puts her up to prominence in the Bat family, is that she's, you know, she's just as traumatized as Bruce, you know, almost in a different way, right? Because she had that very difficult relationship with her dad, which he was responsible for the Bat Kaiju at the beginning of Rebirth, right? Do you remember that story?
Yeah, Monster Man. Oh, not Monster Man.
Yeah. I think he was responsible for that, right? So when we haven't seen him in a while, I don't think. But yeah, it's almost more traumatic than Bruce's because Bruce doesn't have that family aspect that's fighting him. At least not right now. Give Zdarsky enough time to resurrect Ma and Martha and Thomas, but yeah.
Yeah. So the end of the book is, you know, they get sent back. The Batman's helped them get out, and they're back on the carrier. And basically, at the end of the issue, Drummer is looking at the planetary book, and it says in the books, this is something that's already been written. It says, "Oh, the test was a great success. Luke Fox is helpful, but Kate Kane's too far gone. She's already dreaming of bats." And the final page is her dreaming of bats. But the thing here, though, is that this book talks about Luke being a potential help in fighting a narrative virus. So it's setting up whatever its overarching story is the idea of a narrative virus, and Drummer's reading details of what's just happened from this book, which is clearly from the future or from outside of time where all this has already happened.
Right.
Because it looks old. Like they go to the effort of making these pages look dirty and like worn out and stuff like
Aged.
that. So
yeah. Well, and also the call out to the title, right, where Luke goes, "Yeah, don't worry about the Kate. We're outsiders."
Yeah.
I did like that too. It wasn't one of those things where it made me groan. It was like, oh, okay, that's why they're going with this. It's not like a Batman and the Outsiders. It's more like, you know, because this was giving me like Booster Gold book vibes, where he's going through time, and it's kind of an excuse for the writers just to kind of try out different storytelling stuff. And so the fact that, you know, yeah, Kate and Luke now are outside of a typical comic book story. I thought that was another smart piece.
Yeah. The color in the last page is really good because all the panels of Kate sleeping are all very tinted blue. You know, it's that nighttime kind of look. But then all of the stuff in her dream is all just blacks and reds, which works because obviously it's her colors, like it's literally her color scheme. But it also just really sells that idea of the difference between them. So. No, so the idea of this narrative virus is interesting, and I'm wondering how weird and sci-fi it'll get with this idea of the book and what they're already destined to be involved in. But very curious. Like I say, this one won me over as it went along because I wasn't sure how I felt about what the premise of the book was. But it's kind of done that every issue, where by the time it's got to the end, I've kind of like, okay, that was like a fun, weird sci-fi adventure. I think maybe the reason why I wasn't liking this one as much is because it was getting into like a dreamlike world. That feels more magic-y to me than sci-fi, and I was really liking the sci-fi bent on the first two. But, like I say, by the end, it kind of won me over. I chuckled quite a number of times at some of the stuff the Batmen were saying. It felt like it was poking fun at the ideas rather than taking it super seriously, like, say, a Chip Zdarsky, like, 0 R multiple Batmen recently have been doing. So
Yeah, because that's what got me. I saw a whole bunch of Batman just standing around. And I went, oh no, not again. And then it played
hello,
itself
darkness,
out.
my old friend.
Yeah, and then it played itself out. And then there's the joke about the tumbling pearls, which also got a chuckle out of me. I was like, oh, good. They're making fun of this. We're not going to have to deal with this again. But yeah, I'm looking to see like ahead in the solicits. If any of the stuff, and it just seems like they're going to keep going on in these kind of anthology style. Like there's a bigger narrative, but they're little pieces of things.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be standalone adventures that are slowly building whatever they're doing in the background. So, which is fun. It's a different way to do a serialized story. So, all right, what are you giving Outsiders?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Yeah. I think I agree with the 8. It's pretty good. I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying this book. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to when it was announced.